single day. Every day. Let me show you my fruit. Put it up. Right.
All right, good afternoon. Happy homecoming and welcome. My name is Trey Gwynn. I am in the School of Media and Design, and it is my absolute pleasure to welcome you all here today. For those attending and those joining online, welcome to the beautiful Joeris Ballroom. A special welcome to our colleagues at Centro Universitario Incarnate Word and to our colleagues at UIW Campus Bajío. And of course, welcome to the Sisters of Charity of the Incarnate Word. I'm going to click now and ask that if you would, join me in a reciting of the Incarnate Word prayer. Jesus Christ, the Incarnate Word, Son of God and Son of Mary, you are Emmanuel, God with us. We praise and thank you for your life, your love, your death and resurrection. We ask you, please send your Holy Spirit to enlighten our minds with your truth and to inflame our hearts with love for you and for all human persons everywhere on earth. Soften our hearts to the needs of the poor. Inspire us to use the knowledge we are acquiring here to understand better your plan for creation. Bring about justice and alleviate human suffering everywhere on your good earth. Mary, Mother of Jesus and Mother of the Church, pray for us that we may always say yes to God's call in our lives. Amen. Well, praise be, I am not the president, so I can handle a lot, but I don't think I could handle that job. Praise be the Incarnate Word. Indeed, oh yes, please, praise be the Incarnate Word. Indeed, it is a privilege and a joy to be part of the UIW family. I joined the faculty back in 2013. Now, at that time, my daughters were 3 and 1, so I should go like this. They were 3 and 1. They were a toddler and an infant. And since then, I've had a front row seat to change and transformation, which is our theme for the day. My daughters have literally grown right before my eyes, and so has our beloved UIW. Thriving Division I athletics, thriving medical school, thriving campuses in Mexico. I could go on and on and on. Not to mention this beautiful student engagement center where we are gathering today didn't exist when I first got here. But while our beloved UIW continues to evolve and transform, the mission that roots and guides us remains the same. Similarly, my daughters, who are much taller now, I mean, I'm not tall, so it's not like they're like real tall, right? My daughters, who are slightly taller now, certainly full of new ideas. Their hearts are as the same as the very first day that I held them. Their core hasn't changed. And the same is true for UIW. We're not defined by buildings or spaces. UIW is a mission lived out by people generation after generation. And in this moment, in that long, beautiful story, we are guided by a leader who believes deeply in that mission, a leader who helps us grow and innovate while staying true to the heart of who we are: faith, innovation, education, service, and truth. And if we call it Fiesta in action. It is my honor to introduce the person leading us onward, our friend and president of the University of the Incarnate Word, Dr. Thomas Evans. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Trey. I really appreciate you all coming out today. It's wonderful to see so many different areas of the institution represented here, from our board of trustees. Our board chair, Suzanne Gouge, is here, and other trustees. Chris Alvarado is here. I don't think I've ever seen as many students as I have here. Of course, faculty, staff, and a lot more alumni. So really wonderful to have you all here. And for all of you, happy homecoming. It's a really joyous time of the year. And I should also say we have a lot of people online. So I know that we have the campuses in Mexico that Trey talked about, CIW as we call it, Centro Universitario Incarnate Word, the Campus Bajío as well, and we have alumni from all over that are online, Sisters of the Charity of Incarnate Word as well. So thank you all for also joining us if you're joining online, and bienvenidos to everyone in Mexico. As I said, it is truly a joyous time to be here at homecoming. I think a lot of times we associate homecoming with what you see here with football game and everyone wearing the school colors and being here on campus, and that certainly is a lot of fun of the time of homecoming. I mean, if we think of homecoming, home is not always just, it's a place, right? But here at the University of Incarnate Word, I think really homecoming is about community. So whether you're able to be here on this campus for homecoming or you're joining somewhere online, I hope that you have a wonderful homecoming and are so glad that you could celebrate this time with us at the University of Incarnate Word, because there is a lot that is happening here. As I have in the past, and so this is my third homecoming address, and I'd like to give you some data, some of the facts and figures of the university, hopefully tell a few stories that are interesting along the way, but it's a little different this time that I've invited some others to help share the story of the University of the Incarnate Word. And as I asked them, they responded very quickly, yes, without hesitation to doing so. So I'm really grateful to have them here to join in and to try to tell the story of the University of the Incarnate Word, the story of our community, and all of the different things that make us special. And as you know, as we see represented by these fine individuals, we are made up of a lot of different types of individuals. There's faculty, staff, students, alumni, family members, and you'll be hearing from someone who represents each one of those today. Even a dual degree student, as you see, someone holding 2 degrees, one from Mexico and one from here in San Antonio, which is really special. We have many that are also now getting 3 degrees, triple degrees, with our partner institution in Germany in there as well. So it's a really incredible time. And I think what happens with anyone, whoever you are, faculty, staff, student, trustee, whether you really went to school here or not even, there's something about being affiliated with this institution that really does change a person and really transforms them for the better. And so that's why I wanted to focus this homecoming address on what it means to be transformed. What are we talking about when we talk about being transformed? I think a lot of times when you hear, especially university presidents, sometimes we all sound alike if you listen to these things, and we're always boastful, of course, about our institutions, as we're called to be. But here, it's that much more real, and they talk about a transformative experience. Every institution offers some kind of transformative experience, it seems, but here I think it's a little different, and it's different in the way that it is rooted in mission and the way that it is rooted in charism. I love this picture of the graduate on the stairs of the Chapel of the Incarnate Word, and as has been pointed out to me, it's not our campus, it's the Sisters' Chapel. It's the Sisters a chapel of the Incarnate Word, and it is a beautiful chapel, but it's our focal point. It's really kind of the beacon for us. It's a symbol for us as well, from wherever we are in the world, of that which we really hold dear in the charism and the mission of the institution. And this particular quote from the mission is something that I think is most often cited as being kind of utmost importance within the context of education in the context of the Incarnate Word. That the University of the Incarnate Word aims to educate men and women who will become concerned and enlightened citizens within the global community. And to be concerned and enlightened and to be at an institution that has global reach in this day and age is, I think, ever increasingly important for us. And it's truly about vocation, I think, for all of us. And students that self-select into being here at the institution and joining this part of the community, they're doing so understanding something about our mission and our charism. And, it starts back with the story that we all know, the response to Bishop Dubuis's beautiful letter, our Lord Jesus Christ suffering in the persons of the multitude of the sick and infirm of every kind seeks relief at your hands. And the extension of that with all of our hands, first to the sisters and then by extension from the sisters to the sponsored ministries and our work together that takes part inside the classroom, outside of the classroom, and in so many ways. Sometimes it's very literal. Sometimes it is truly the sick and dying that are being cared for by those that are in the health professions, maybe on a mission trip, maybe right here in South Texas, maybe in San Antonio. Sometimes it's also not so literal, but also the sick and infirm, when we think of poverty and what we can do to alleviate that, or we think of ignorance. There are many different ways in which we're those extended healing hands of Christ. And it's a beautiful thing to be associated with that. And I think that the families that join us also very much believe in that, and that's their hope, right? Their hope in our promise to them that we will do what we can to transform them within mission, within charism. I had a mother at the pinning ceremony come up to me after the pinning ceremony. And, by the way, this was such a great start of the academic year. I don't think any of our events have been as packed as they have. The pinning ceremony was just absolutely packed. The welcoming mass at the Chapel of the Incarnate Word, people were sitting on the stairs going up. I don't know what we can do to expand the chapel to accommodate more people. People were bringing in more chairs, but it was a remarkable start to the academic year. The faculty fall forum was just packed and really spirited, was just wonderful. So at this pinning ceremony, the mother came up to me and she said, I really, really hope that the mission of this institution rubs off on my son. So I thought, that's one way to put transformative experience into to have this mission rub off on the son. But I knew we know exactly what they mean. They're sending their son or daughter to this institution in the hopes and dream that we can transform them, and transform them in this special way within the mission that they understand even coming into the community. So it is really quite remarkable to think of all of the different ways in which we now are those extended hands of Christ around the globe. And this is a chart, a graph that shows our system and key partners, and it's quite complex, as you can see. There's a lot here of our different components. If we start at 12 o'clock, you see online with the School of Professional Studies and the extension of partners there. Global online now with our classes in Spanish. What we lovingly call the Broadway campus, with all of the different schools, and each school having a different component to it. The global with the European Studies Center, Campus Bajío, Centro Universitario Incarnate Word. The Lewis Center, and the Lewis Center has even another offshoot with the Center for Medical Tourism. Mission and Ministry, which is, of course, core to all that we do, but the Etling Center that just brings so much within the community here locally, but then the extension of that with service. The Brainpower Connection, pre-K, going through our doctoral programs with St. Anthony Catholic High School that is a part of the university's system. Our health professions, which are numerous for any kind of institution, but for a private Catholic institution in particular, it's a lot of different programs, and it extends beyond that. So this system is pretty large and complex, but what's amazing about it is wherever you go within that system, and even if it's on the ground or it's online, that community and that feeling and the charisma and the mission exist and are being lived in very real ways. I remember the first time before I went to Mexico, Marcos Fragoso, who's right here, thank you, Marcos, for being here, said, when you go to Mexico, you're going to be shocked because you're going to feel like you're at Incarnate Word. I thought, like, there's a lot of red and black, there's the same brick. And he said, no, you're going to feel like you are at Incarnate Word. I said, okay. And then when you go to those campuses, you feel like you're at Incarnate Word. And that feeling is so much like the students and the parents who, when I ask them, why did you choose to come here? Tell me what it was about it. And they say, I stepped foot on the campus and I felt like I belonged. I just felt it, that this was the place that I needed to be. Everyone was so welcoming and so caring and wanted me to succeed and be a part of this, that's where I felt like I wanted to be there. And that's the kind of feeling that you actually get throughout this system. And it really starts with what Dr. Gwynn said. It's the people. It's the people that make this happen. And in most instances, that first transmission of mission to the students happens in the classroom, and it's transmitted by faculty. Faculty that when I'm anywhere in the world talking to alumni, they ask about all of the faculty that changed their lives. And so I think we should hear from one of them that is incredible at doing that and also happens to be an alumna herself. Dr. Laura Cannon, Associate Professor of History in the College of Humanities, Arts, and Social Sciences.
Thank you. Hi. So the first time I came to UIW, I was 10 years old. I went to soccer camp and came back every summer. And not because the campus was beautiful or the camp was fun, though both of those things were true. It was because of the people, as Dr. Evans just told us. They cared about us. They wanted us to grow and to love the game. Even back then, I could tell that this was a place where people cared about more than just what you did. They cared about who you were becoming. When it came time to choose a college in 2004, UIW was already at the top of my list. And during my time as a student, I changed in all the best ways. My professors pushed me to think harder and to care deeper. I still remember Dr. Doug Gilmore starting every philosophy class by having us pause for a moment of gratitude. I remember Sister Eilish helping me see that faith and justice aren't separate, they're deeply connected. And I remember a political science instructor who canceled class when Hurricane Katrina hit and told us we were going to do something more important that day, gather supplies for families who had lost everything. That moment stuck with me. It showed me that there were bigger things to care about and that learning isn't just about ideas, it's about what you do with them. Excuse me. Those experiences shaped how I see the world. They taught me empathy, curiosity, and compassion. And that education isn't just about learning facts, it's about learning how to be a good person in the world. Years later, I found my way back to UIW, this time as a professor, and now I get to do for my students what others once did for me. I've watched students find their voice, their purpose, and their confidence. One of my students was a business major who took Texas history with me as an elective, but ended up falling in love with the subject. He told me he just couldn't stop thinking about all the stories that weren't in the textbooks. He changed his major to history, and now he's pursuing a PhD. Watching that spark, that why haven't I ever heard of this before sort of curiosity, reminded me so much of myself at his age. Another student started out quiet, uncertain of himself, and unsure of how he fit into the world. He worked with me as an intern on a research project about the sisters. And he was completely transformed by their story, their courage, their compassion, their faith in action. He started volunteering at their archives, speaking publicly about housing justice, and now works as a political organizer. Seeing him step into his voice, guided by the same mission that brought the sisters here, that's one of the most powerful things I've witnessed as an educator. And that's what transformation at UIW looks like. It starts with care, grows through learning, and lives on through service. The sisters came to San Antonio with courage and compassion to help others, to make the world more just. And that same spirit guides everything we do today. From that 10-year-old at soccer camp to the professor here now, I've seen how this place changes lives. And together, we keep that work going, helping one another grow, serve, and transform the world around us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Cannon. So if you did not know, Dr. Cannon, on top of the other things that she does here at the institution, is our faculty athletic representative, also known as the FAR or FAR. So this year, Dr. Cannon was named the FAR of the Year. You get this award by caring the most, I think, about your students, about faculty, about what happens in the classroom, about what happens in competition, what happens in the community. And I can't think of anyone better to represent that than alumna and faculty athletic rep that is our faculty athletic rep, knowing that every institution that has athletics in the country has a FAR. We have the best one. So thank you, Dr. Cannon. So now some of the facts and figures that I said I would share with you. So I'm very often asked, what is your enrollment? If anyone's going to ask any question, it seems to be, how many students do you have? So 10,312 students is our total global enrollment. And you may ask yourself, what does that mean, global enrollment? Well, we are a global institution with many campuses. So within the United States, we have 7,011 students here, and that's our undergraduate, our graduate, our professional, and global online that do count as our students here. 3,096 in the Mexico campuses and 205 at St. Anthony Catholic High School right now. So there's your cocktail hour stat for everyone to take with them. This is how many students we have. So here's our US enrollment, 7,011. As I said earlier, so 4,647 that we would consider our Broadway campuses, campus students. Health professional doctoral students, 1,376. That's a very good number of health profession students. It's also a good number of our undergraduates within that Broadway. So those two combined are the highest that we have had. Then the School of Professional Studies at 883 is still a very sizable school for any institution. It is not as large as it once was, but it is still quite significant and offers us a lot. I'll talk about that in a minute. And then Global Online, which the number of students you see there is the number of degree-seeking students. There are actually more that are also certificate-seeking students, and that program is growing quite exponentially, kind of doubling every year. So I think we'll continue to see that trend. Here's our first time in college enrollment, or FTIC, as you call them, not to be confused with first generation students, but first time in college. We used to call them freshmen. Now we call them first time in college. It's not our transfer students. This is their first time to be at an institution. And we had 1,080 this year. That is a record number for the University of the Incarnate Word. And it follows 2 consecutive years prior to that of over 1,000. So it's the first time in the institution's history that we have had 3 consecutive years over 1,000 students in our FTIC, the incoming class. 1,016 last year was actually quite remarkable given what you probably know as the FAFSA debacle. The free application for federal student aid was very late in rolling out after they tried to fix it, so it was really incredible to get over 1,000 there, but then to jump up to 1,080 is significant. So for everyone in admission, and by the way, that's everyone, because in some ways you're all ambassadors. Everyone is an ambassador, a part of this community for the University of the Incarnate Word. But our admission team, the enrollment management team, the financial aid team, all those that helped with all of the different events to bring people in, the Cardinal weekends, faculty and in the Convo Center that are just incredible at talking one-on-one with students and telling them why they should be at this institution. A great year. So let's give them a round of applause, please. And I want to point out that while this slide shows data going back to the fall of 2019, we've made really remarkable strides. The year before, 2018, the fall class of 2018 was under 900. The year before that, the fall of 2017 was under 800. So it gives you an idea of kind of where we are right now. And you can see the effect that COVID had on us with fall of 2020. That was actually, that was before we had Founders Hall and parking, and it looked like we were going to be way over 1,000 when COVID hit, and we were kind of wondering where we're going to park, where people are going to park, and where we're going to put people. So we did take a hit there with COVID, but we've climbed steadily out of that, and that is remarkable for really any, as you follow the news, you know what it's like in higher education right now. So congratulations again, and thank you for the great work that you've done. You see the correlating hours, right? So that also correlates to classes and number of students in the classes. So really terrific to see that chart. So going back to our U.S. enrollment, so you see the breakdown, and again, for undergraduate and graduate, and actually our transfer numbers this year were very good. The health professional programs really looking amazing. The School of Professional Studies, I wanted to talk a little bit about that there are some really incredible opportunities within the School of Professional Studies. Some of the things that we're doing with Joint Base San Antonio, some work we're doing with the military. But a lot of institutions, when they came out of COVID, they didn't have anything online before COVID, and they came out of COVID having everything online. So the competition in that area is quite fierce, and it's really important to be able to differentiate yourself among all the different institutions that have these programs, and then also to think creatively about what do we do with those, what do we do with all these different programs? How do they intersect with other parts of the institution and within our system? And I'll talk a little bit more about that later on. Our Mexico enrollment, 3,096 total, 2,008 at Campus Bajío. So that includes Liceo Cervantino, which has a middle school, a high school, a technical school, and then the undergraduate and graduate. So the undergraduate and graduate numbers for Campus Bajío are about the same as Centro Universitario Incarnate Word at 1,088. Roughly half of those students at the undergraduate and graduate are doing the double degree, and that's where the main growth is. So in many ways, half of the students that are students of the Mexico campus are students of the San Antonio campus too, getting the US degree and getting the Mexican degree. So important to keep that in mind, the interconnectedness. A little bit about our cardinals. So all those areas that are outlined, which don't include the United States, because we know that it includes that, are where our students come from. So we have students from all over the world, 46 states represented, the District of Columbia, Puerto Rico, Guam, 59 countries. 89% are full-time. That number has really picked up. 47% of our undergraduates are Pell recipients and 35% first generation. That is a good number for any institution. And as you may have remembered, I hope you remember and hope you tell everybody about it, there's what's called the new prestige of institutions by the Chronicle of Higher Education, which are opportunity colleges and universities. And they're looking at the accessibility of your campus, and then they're looking at earnings after graduation. So a high access, high earnings institution is an opportunity college or university. There are not very many of them in the United States, and we are one of them at the highest level. And more importantly, our numbers have us at the highest access and highest earnings in the region, both of those things. So we should be very proud of that. And you can see with social mobility then, 47% undergraduate Pell recipients, 35% first generation. The Wall Street Journal had us number 36 in the country with social mobility this year. And around, I think it was 235 in the nation overall, which there are 4,000 plus institutions of higher learning in the United States. So even to be listed there is something, and that's a pretty high ranking. So again, it shows kind of external validation of the things that we know internally, but then what they don't know is kind of how we're doing it, right? They know what we're doing, but they're not always sure of the way that it's being done, because it's not really, it's measuring mission in a way, but not even as deeply as we know that it could. I like to think that we're kind of glocal. You remember that? You remember that phrase from, I think, the early 2000s? It said being global and local. Out of our Texas students, more than 60% are from Bexar County. So, while we're residential and commuter, we're global, but a lot of students right here in Bexar County. Same with CIW. So in Mexico City, many are from the central and south zones, not that far from the campus in Mexico City. And 13 nationalities represented among the global online students, which when you hear that list, it's really an impressive list of students. So we love our students, and it's time to hear from one. So I have a quick story to tell you about Jacqueline Moreno, who is going to speak to us as a representative of our student body, but in the doctoral pharmacy program, and also an MBA candidate, and got her undergraduate degree here. What next, Jacqueline? I don't know. So I remember vividly having a lunch at Brackenridge Villa with all of the students that were in the honors program. And Jacqueline was speaking to Carlos Alvarez about her work. So Mr. Alvarez, he passed recently, very sadly, but was a very generous supporter of the University of the Incarnate Word. And after Jacqueline spoke, one of my favorite lines ever anyone has ever said to me was from him, as he looked at me in all sincerity and said, "Tom, where did you get these actors? This can't possibly be true. These can't truly be students here." And I said, "No, they're real." So to prove that they're real is Jacqueline Moreno.
Thank you so much, Dr. Evans, for the beautiful introduction, and thank you so much for everyone for joining us today. It's been a minute since I've been back here on main campus, so it's so nice to see so many familiar faces and some new faces as well. But my name is Jacqueline Moreno. I am a proud alumna from the University of the Incarnate Word. I received my undergraduate degree here in management from the Business Administration, the HEB School of Business and Administration, and then I went on to complete my MBA recently, actually, in August, and I'm currently a third-year student pharmacist in the UIW Fike School of Pharmacy. So I'm so excited to share a little bit more about my journey as a Cardinal, as the transformative journey that I've had as a UIW student here. And my journey actually began long before I stepped onto campus as an undergraduate student. I stepped onto campus with my brother when he's also a two-time alum from UIW. We came onto campus for the first time with my parents, who are both in the audience with us today. Yes, round of applause. But just like Dr. Evans mentioned earlier, from the moment I stepped on campus, you really did feel something special. And over the course of his undergraduate education, he also completed his MBA here as well. You really do feel and you witness firsthand the warmth of this community, the strength of its mission, and the way that they transform lives. So naturally, when it was my turn to begin my own UIW journey, I remember it pretty vividly, actually. Dr. Evans mentioned it earlier, but the first time he echoed the words of Bishop Dubois stayed with me, and I'll say them one more time for you all, but he said, "Our Lord Jesus Christ, suffering in the persons of a multitude of sick and infirm of every kind, seeks relief at your hands." Thank you for reciting it with me. They're pretty powerful words, and quite honestly, they inspired me. They became a constant reminder that every patient I serve, every student I mentor, and every community I touch is a transformative time to bring back healing in our community. And some of my fondest moments at UIW have been as an Alvarez Scholar in the honors program, in faculty classes, who I've seen some of them out there tonight, so it's really nice to see y'all. Whether it be my undergraduate studies, my MBA classes, my PharmD coursework, building some of those lifelong friendships have been really meaningful to me. And even now, as I'm studying to be a pharmacist, coming and caring for our communities, whether it be immunizing our children in our local school districts, screening patients for hypertension and diabetes, or even learning along some alongside some of the most amazing faculty, alumni, and preceptors while out on rotations. So for me, as a student in my 7th year at UIW, which it's very surreal to say that, I've had the honor of representing UIW as a student ambassador, both locally as a class senator and vice president of our FSOP Student Government Association, but also regionally across Texas and even nationally through some of my student org involvement with the national chapters as well. Throughout my journey, one truth has become pretty clear. I'm a product of UIW by and whole. My journey, my experiences, the relationships that I've built here have truly transformed who I am as a person, as a servant leader, as a lifelong learner, and as a future pharmacist who's developing to transform lives just as UIW has transformed me. As I continue my journey here at UIW, I proudly carry forward the UIW mission to lead with love and to serve with purpose, one student, one community, and one patient at a time. Thank you so much for joining us today, and praise be the incarnate word.
Isn't she incredible? Yeah, she's not an actress either. I don't think. Well, maybe, I don't know. Maybe the first Oscar award-winning actress from the University of Incarnate Word. You never know. It is possible. I think you can do anything. Thank you for sharing your story with us, Jacqueline. And I don't know there will one day be a commencement when Jacqueline does not cross the stage. I don't know what I'm going to do with myself when that happens. So, I do need to share with you, I don't think that you're unaware that there are a lot of headwinds sweeping across higher education. Of course, the changes happening within our government at the federal level. So we've seen some funding pulled across institutions of higher learning. We're not immune to that. The enrollment cliff is upon us. So this will be the first year that there will be fewer graduates of high school, kind of dramatically fewer. And it goes down from there, and fewer that graduate from high school attending college. So as a little bit of a double whammy for the world of higher education as it deals with an enrollment cliff. The competitive landscape in online I mentioned earlier. At one time there were few institutions that had robust online programs, and with COVID, almost everyone had something that they could turn into. Every institution could turn what they had into something online that was keeping. So while there may be more adult online learners across the nation, that has actually meant institutionally for those that had larger programs to begin with that they've been shrinking. Operational cost increases, some of these are pretty astonishing. We've seen some cost increases by as much as 12 to 15%. So you can imagine what that means for institutions that love things like air conditioning, like we do. The cost increases are very real. And then international student concerns. You probably read that there are fewer students getting their visas approved, but then also fewer that are wanting to come to the United States to study. So for campuses that have high numbers of international students, it is a challenge. So we know that these challenges exist, and we have been facing them quite well, and we need to continue to do that. And one way to do that, and it kind of coincides very nicely with our strategic planning process, and I've called this a year of identifying opportunity. I shared this at the beginning of the year with our faculty, and it's a time for us to assess our strengths, navigate these uncertain waters that really they change almost every day, examining our own deficiencies with clear eyes. Where can we improve? Where can we go? What are the kinds of things that we can do that others cannot? What are those opportunities that we must grasp? Where can we grow? What are those opportunities? What can UIW be? And it's kind of fun to think about that. I mean, we know who we are, but then what can we do even more of? How can we be even more genuinely and authentically the University of the Incarnate Word? And what will that mean for our future? And to do that during a time of strategic planning. So we embarked on this a couple of years ago. We took a little bit of a pause in that while we had new leaders gratefully joining us that can also weigh in on this planning. And now it's going to go pretty fast. So we've had a lot of different listening sessions. They've been led by John Burry, who is now also, along with Michael Larkin, co-chairing the task force that is now supported by 3 different subject-specific subcommittees that have been identified. I sent you a pretty long email not that long ago that listed everyone there, so I won't reiterate that, but maybe if you want to go back and reference it, please do. It's a very, very diverse group. It is very faculty heavy across all of the subject-specific subcommittees intentionally. And the timeline here, we've formed the task force, we've formed the subcommittees. It's underway, and in spring of 2026, which will be here before we know it, we'll have drafting and revisions be presented to the Board of Trustees at the February meeting, and then in April with another session of a retreat. And we should be able to launch and have that approved summer, fall 2026. And thinking about 2031, and why 2031? That is our 150th anniversary. And it will be here before we know it. So it's exciting to think about that. And I really encourage everyone, continue to weigh in if you have not yet done so. There's a form you can fill out online. There will be other ways for you to also give your input. And these are the 3 areas that were identified for focus in the position paper, which is also still available online on the president's pages. You can find the position paper. And these 3 areas, I think, really remain very important for our success. First of all, of course, increasing enrollment and student success. And part of increasing enrollment is ensuring student success that leads to better retention, that then has us graduating more students, that gives us more cardinals out to be the word in the world. And we have good work that we can do on this front. And I think part of that is in mission-integrated research and scholarship. What is the kind of research and what's the kind of scholarship that we can do at the University of Incarnate Word that others can't do? You see 2 institutions forming a different kind of consortia, because one might be a liberal arts institution and another might have health professions, or one might have health professions and it's doing work with a minority serving institution. We are all of those things and then some. So the kinds of work that we can do that might integrate the liberal arts and the health professions for identifying health disparities and what we can do about them, and so what that means maybe from a sociological standpoint while you're also doing that good in the world, is really exciting. And it can all be completely grounded in our mission. And even in the Sisters' founding, again, our Lord Jesus Christ suffering in the persons of the multitudes, sick and infirm of every kind. What can we do? Seeking relief at our hands. And then becoming a more seamless system. So you see that big chart that has all the different circles and they're all related. That's just a piece of it. There's even more to it than that. And identifying all the ways that we link to ourselves internally, that might even be here in San Antonio, but then what that might look like abroad. What might it look like with other institutions? It's a very exciting thing to think about with a lot of different possibilities. And I want to give you an idea of the kind of thing that can mean for us. That's another brief story. We were at Smoke before a football game against UTSA, and it was a really great party with alumni and students and faculty staff. It was really a fun time. And I got to meet new members of our community, and there was a dad there, and I knew he was a dad because his shirt said Incarnate Word Dad. And he had a Notre Dame hat on, and I started talking to him like, oh, you're a dad. Who's your son? He's a first-year student. How did you choose the University of Incarnate Word? As I ask almost everyone, and he said, well, it was a journey. I said, okay, what was that journey? And he said, well, it came down to Incarnate Word, Stanford, and Boston College. I thought, this is going to be a good story. How did you choose the University of the Incarnate Word? And he said, well, we're a Catholic family. I went to Notre Dame, hence the Notre Dame hat. And he said, it was important for us to be at a Catholic institution. We're from Houston, so it was close by. Of all the campuses we visited, yours was the most welcoming, and we felt the most comfortable. And our son got into the pre-admit program with the School of Osteopathic Medicine. It's a great combination of all these things that we are. You know, it's nice that we're in San Antonio, which is close to Houston, but on top of that, to have the right culture, climate, makeup, and to have the program across our system, that connection that helped us win, if you will, a student away from Stanford or Boston College. So, you know, we can do really incredible things because of who we are, where we are, how we operate, that I think are really surprising. I mean, that story, when I hear that, you know, my son chose you all over Stanford and Boston College, that is kind of surprising to me. But when you hear why and you realize all these different components put together make us that attractive institution for, you know, for these really incredible students and their families. So it's really exciting as we think about this strategic planning process. How do we connect all of these things so that we are the destination? And we are that place that the students and their families absolutely want to go. And the numbers that you saw earlier is proof that we are that institution, and we can be even more so that institution. So another exciting thing that is happening very soon will be the opening of Founders Hall. And I think this is another opportunity for us to really showcase to prospective students and for all of our current students, faculty, staff to enjoy a fabulous space. And I wish I could take all of you right now and walk across the street and go through it with a hard hat on, and you'd see why I'm so excited about what is happening there. It's going to be spectacular space, and it will have a lot of things in it. I mean, it will have a clinic, our police, School of Media and Design, math, science, and engineering, lots of labs, our international offices, the Lewis Center, and there's more that can go in there, and it provides a swing space for when we need to renovate other buildings, which we need to do. So this is really exciting, and it's going to open before we know it. I've actually been told that you can move furniture in maybe as early as November, which really shocked me, but as long as they're not chairs. Because apparently you can't have a certificate of occupancy if you have chairs, right? Once you have chairs, then it changes everything. So it's kind of a funny thing to think about. But we can even move furniture in before too long, and by February it's supposed to be completed enough that we can move other components in, and then the academic units move in the summer, and hopefully we'll be able to showcase this in March when a lot of the students start coming through looking for institutions. And by August, the first day of classes, we should really be in full occupancy of the floors that have been fully renovated, and it's really exciting. It looks great. The spaces are large, and I think that this time next year we'll be having this event over there. So something to look forward to in the space, because it's spectacular. You're really going to like it. You know, here you see our graduates. Do you not love that time of the year when all of a sudden you see so many people on campus taking pictures in all the different places with all their gear on, ready to go out? I feel like photo bombing a lot of the pictures sometimes when I see people on campus. It's a really fun time to see that, and so you see some of those here. But you know, our graduates excited to go out and be the word in the world. Not that they're not while they're here studying, but to be so in their places of employment and doing the work that they do. And we're so proud of our alumni. And one of them is right here with us today in an incredible position, doing all sorts of wonderful work out of mission and ministry, Bishop Trevor Alexander.
Kept mine short. There's somebody back there this year is going to be waving, telling me when I'm overtime. So unlike my previous speakers, I didn't come on Encounter Word when I was 10, and I didn't come to the soccer game, And thank you, Dr. Evans, for this opportunity. I didn't find Incarnate Word. Incarnate Word found me. I'm here by the providential hand of God. Years ago, I was across the street at Kinko's making copies, and there was a funny-looking building over with a cross on it. I said, what is this? So I walked over, actually drove. And I came into this building, to the admin building, and I found the admission office, and everybody was at lunch. And there was a lady in there by the name of Hadnot. Where is she? Lynette Hadnot. She's now Keller. She was was it the coordinator or the director? She don't know. Anyway, she was in there and she started selling me this place. I said, this is what I'm looking for. I've never been on this campus, never heard about this campus, but she kept talking about the small sizes and caring faculty. And I said, that's what I wanted. I was scheduled to go to UTSA. I went to audit a class. I didn't like it. It wasn't for me. But I came on this campus and I knew this is where I needed to be. So Incarnate Word found me. And so my first class was with religious studies and with Sister Eilish in religious quests. And she started talking about incarnational theology. And then she gave all the trimmings of incarnational theology. And she talked about the ministry of care and the ministry of presence. I said, I now have the language to do what I've been doing and speak about it where everybody can understand. I learned that here at Incarnate Word. So now I'm armed with this wonderful gifts of presence and care and incarnational theology. What am I going to do with this? So I found my why. My why was confirmed and affirmed here at Incarnate Word. I have some wonderful teachers, but I have faculty that cared and the student body that we were small then, 2,800. Now we're growing, which is good. But what I still love about this campus is that we continue to look for opportunities to serve one another. So now I have the gift. I have the gift to be able to serve students and faculty and staff with the same energy that I received here, with the same passion, with the same care, to help others find their why. One of my good friends, Pastor Charles Garman, who is an AME preacher, he says, we get to do this. And that makes sense to me. We have the privilege and the honor to accompany students, faculty, and staff to help them find their why. So I have been transformed through the language and affirmed in helping me to find my why. Thank you, Deb.
Thank you, Bishop Trevor. Well, we've heard really wonderful testimonials of what it means to be transformed and what it means to be transformed in the context of a UIW education and our mission and our charism. So I will end with one last one, which is the ways that I feel I have been transformed since I got here. And it's happened, I think, in a number of ways. So I'll give you kind of 3 instances of that. And the first is really by the association with the Sisters of Charity of the Incarnate Word. It is really a tremendous honor and privilege to be a leader of a sponsored ministry of the Sisters of Charity of the Incarnate Word, and to know them and to spend time with them and to learn from them and to learn what vocation really means and what it is really all about. And you know, we lost recently, you know, 2 really precious members of the congregation. One, Sister Helena Monahan, who wrote me while I was in Montana still, a handwritten letter from out of St. Louis telling me about the University of the Incarnate Word and all of the great things about it and how fortunate I am to be here. And she had some advice for me, which was just incredible advice. She said, love the faculty and love the staff. And loving the students is just natural, right? So she said, and you will get it back. You will feel it. And it was just remarkable advice from a woman who really loved this university, just passionately, and loved learning. And Sister Margaret Rose Palmer, we have service for her tomorrow, and just incredible women. They're just kind of two examples of the sisters in the congregation. And I think being associated with the sisters and learning from them has deepened my faith. I think it's helped me understand the true meaning of vocation better, and I think it's made me a better person. And I think that's the origin of everything that happens here, as we know. It's with the congregation and the charism that is a gift from God to the sisters that then gets shared with all of us. And what an amazing thing that is. So then you see that translated into the work that happens every day here. And it happened for me my first month here, which was August 2017. As we were preparing for classes to start, a hurricane was approaching. My first pinning ceremony started with emergency preparations and planning and a cancellation of classes. That was not a great start, but in fact, it turned out to be the perfect start, because much like Dr. Cannon, I had no idea that you were gonna write and say this. It's the same thing. It was a different hurricane. But I witnessed this campus not concerned about itself, but mobilized into, okay, how do we help everybody else, and what does this mean, and who do we need to bring on the campus, and do we need to provide shelter, and it just went on. It just went on and on. And so I've seen that since day one on this campus. And then the last is with students that share with you how they've been transformed, but more even sometimes than being transformed are the number of students that have stopped me on this campus to tell me that the University of Incarnate Word saved their lives. Like, truly saved their lives. That is really powerful and incredibly powerful. And then I'll share with, I told you you'd hear from a parent, but you've heard from a parent, and we have other parents here. But as a parent of a UIW graduate who just shared with me, I kid you not, an hour before coming here, sent me a video that he was doing as a testimonial for a department here on campus, and it ended with, if I had to do it all over again, I would absolutely do it at the University of Incarnate Word. And it was interesting to see a kid who came to play baseball and study business, who then fell in love with religious studies, with history, transformed, studied abroad. It was just really something to see that. And I remember at graduation, he didn't want to come to graduation, didn't want to come back from Boston College for it. And his mother said, "This isn't about you. This is about your mother and your father, and you're going to come and you're going to graduate." And then I watched him, coming down the aisle with all the faculty lined, hugging all the faculty, and just the emotion of it all. And then before he got back on the plane the next day, we had lunch, and he said to me, "Dad," and by the way, if you ever want the truth told to you, it's going to come from your wife and your kids, right? Because as president, a lot of people will tell you a lot of things that maybe they think that you want to hear. They'll tell you things you don't want to hear, right? And he said, "Dad, the faculty at the University of Incarnate Word, they really, really care about their students." And it was like an emotional moment for him and for me. And so, witnessing all of these things, in the context of what it means to have a vocation, to further the institution for others so that they have that. Everyone here in this room has a vocation at the University of the Incarnate Word, no matter how long you are here, to be able to live and work in that mission and further it. And that's a really incredible thing that we get to do. As Bishop Trevor said, we get to do this. And for that, I think I need to probably end with praise be the Incarnate Word. Yes.
As I walked in the door,